Welcome to the Relationship Rehab Podcast. I'm Sammy, a certified breakup and relationship coach, attachment specialist, former love addict, and spiritual junkie. This podcast is for you, the hopeless romantic who loves to love, and a safe space for us to explore and heal our attachment trauma, broken hearts, and love addictions. Together, we are on a mission to become the love of our own lives so we can have successful, healthy, secure relationships with others. So if you're ready to create a life and love beyond your wildest desires, you're in the right place. Your journey towards becoming more secure in love and life starts now. Hello, my secure lovers, and welcome back to the podcast for another episode. So happy to have you here. And if you're new here, welcome. I am Samantha, or Sammy for short, your attachment specialist and relationship coach, helping you to heal your attachment trauma, become more secure so you can attract, keep, and sustain those beautiful, loving, healthy, happy relationships. So let's get going with this juicy episode. But before we do, I would love to ask you for a favor. If you've been listening to this podcast for a while, or maybe you're new here and you're just absolutely loving it so far, I would love to invite you to rate and review this podcast. It would mean so much to me, and it would really help push this content out to those who really need to hear all the things that we're talking about today and in other episodes. So thank you so much in advance for that, and let's get going. So someone reached out to me on my Instagram and asked me this very question, and that is, how do I know when I am ready to start dating again? And it's a conversation that comes up a lot with my clients as well. How do I know when I get to that point? And what I'm going to say right off the bat is there is no perfect right time. And sometimes it just happens that you just meet someone. It's something you can't predict. So there's no such thing as being perfectly healed. There is no such thing. Healing is a very ongoing, lifelong journey. And sometimes there are things that we just can't prepare for that relationships will bring up to the surface. And I always see relationships as that like next level healing. So in that regard, don't wait too long to get into a relationship or to start dating again, because there's no benchmark, if you will. But we will talk about some things today as to how you can check in with yourself as to, am I in this space now to be able to say to myself, okay, I now am ready to get myself back out there because I am in this space. I'm in a really good space with myself. And again, it is a very personal decision when you do make that conscious decision and effort to get back into that dating pool. So the first sign to look out for that you are ready to start dating again is that you feel at peace. You've let go of all of the pain and shame and regret and sadness that may have come up from your previous relationship. All of that has been healed and sat with and dealt with and integrated. So it's not internalized within you. You're not taking all that stuff into your next relationship. We call this transference when we feel anxious or jealous or bitter in some way towards a new partner. Sometimes it's like we're playing the past on repeat. So we want to make sure that we've tied up all those knots and really sat with everything, so we're not carrying that old baggage into a new romance. You've forgiven yourself for anything that you need to be forgiven for from yourself, forgiven the other person. You've really reached that place of letting that go and accepting what has happened, and there is no hope or ties still there with this other person, because often or not, subconsciously, we get into another relationship because we want to be able to plug that hole and fill that void and replace that person. And that can give us that risk of choosing someone who's very much like our exes. You know, when you hear people say that they've got a certain type, or they remind them of their ex, or they have a pattern, this is what typically happens. We're not breaking that pattern and consciously seeking someone more secure, more healthy, or, you know, different in any way that may have caused the relationship breakdown in the past. But with that being said, of course, the reality is that we're always going to feel some sort of hurt from our past relationships, and we can get into our future relationships and heal in them too. I just want to make that point, that relationships in and of themselves are very, very healing. So it's not like we're looking for that 100% perfection. It's about really checking in with yourself and being like, do I feel at peace with what has happened in my past? Again, not looking for that 100%. The second sign, and this is a big one, and I based a 3-day masterclass all on this specific point, and that is that you're content with being single. Something a lot of us anxiously attached lovers struggle with. We struggle being alone. We start to get into those fear-based thoughts of we're going to be alone forever. We're going to die alone. No one wants us. No, we're not good enough. And that can subconsciously drive us into the arms of someone who's not right for us. So we need to be content with being a single. And what does our life look like as a single person? How can we fill up our own cup? How can we meet our own needs and nurture ourselves and hold ourselves through challenges and obstacles and pain without depending on someone else? And this can be really tricky when you have been in a codependent relationship, or you notice codependency and relationship anxiety very present for you. A massive reason why a lot of people decide to come into relationship coaching is because they are discontent with being single, and they feel like they need to get that relationship in order to feel fulfilled and complete. But what tends to happen in the program is they then realize that, oh, it's in me. I fulfill myself. I complete myself. I don't go out and get that from someone else. They don't have that power. I have that power. I get to be that person for myself. So when you reach this space where you don't need someone, but you desire someone in your life, that you're not looking to seek that relationship to complete you, to fill a void, but to complement what you've already built for yourself. And you've started to shift your focus into the other areas of your life, whether it's your career, your fitness, your spirituality, your emotional growth. Like, you are able to maintain, sustain that sense of self. You've got a strong sense of self. So you know that when you start to date again and get into a relationship, you can still maintain that sense of self as well as being in that bubble with someone else. You're not going to lose yourself again because you've built that strong sense of self. And when we're in a space where we're content being single, this gives us a really good solid foundation for when we're dating. Because if we then find someone that we really like, and we need to be able to give it some time, right? I think being a slow burner is such a beautiful thing, because you can assess whether this is the right person for you, whether you align in all the right things, you know your values, you've got your vision, and you can really start to see if this is compatible rather than being a victim to chemistry, which is what we've been at before, when we feel all the feels and the butterflies and you know, the physical attraction and intimacy is there. Like, we very much fall into that chemistry. Whereas when we can take a step back and assess compatibility, we can do this in a much healthier space when we already have our own lives outside of that relationship, when we have built up that strong sense of self. Because if it doesn't work out for whatever reason, maybe you're not aligning in something that's really important to you, you're not going to go back on yourself. You're not going to break that non-negotiable. You're not going to bend and break your own boundaries just because you feel like you really want this person in your life and you don't think there's anything else out there and you just don't want to be alone anymore. So, okay, they'll do. We don't want to fall into that trap again where we just settle or we go against ourselves and abandon ourselves. Like, we are strong, foundations are intact, and we can have that healthy detachment and say, this is not working out, but I really want the best for you. And I don't think that this, you know, relationship is that for both of us. And that is coming from a space of feeling so secure within yourself that you are going to be okay. And that this is This is an opportunity. This is a lesson. This is something that is going to help you grow even more and learn more about yourself and explore connection and what that means for you and get you that one step closer to that relationship that is for you. Everything is for you. Even when someone comes into your life, and you think, what was that for? It was for you. And this comes on to my next time, which is you've learned your lessons. I see this a lot with people where they're like, I've wasted 5 years of my life or even 6 months of my life with this person. And for what? I want to invite you, if this is you, to see why. There's always a reason why someone comes into our life. They are here to teach us something. They are here to help us grow in some way. What are those lessons? When you can tap into that, that is a really great sign that you're moving from your emotional brain into your rational brain, into that secure self, that you are now looking for those opportunities of growth. So if you've reached the space where I've acknowledged my lessons, I've identified them, I've worked through them, I know now what I needed to learn, what this relationship was teaching me, why I needed to be with myself, and I've done that work. I've been able to get myself as much as I can to the point where I feel ready. I feel now that I have got my solid, healthy boundaries. I've been practicing that with my family, with my co-workers. I've been nurturing my own needs. I feel now that I can really fill up my bucket, so I can invite someone into that process to support me and not do it for me. I can emotionally regulate myself. I know what self-soothing, like what works for me. I've explored that. I know how to be with myself and soothe and be with the anxiety. It's not about getting rid of the anxiety. It's not about finding a relationship that's never going to trigger you again. That would be avoidance. We want to find a relationship that's going to help us grow in the most healthy way. And that does not mean that we're not going to get triggered. We are going to get triggered. It's not a bad thing. It's neither good nor bad. It just is what it is. And it's the difference between seeing the trigger as something that is coming up. It's present. We can manage it. It's not anything about me. It's not anything about my partner or person. It's not about the relationship. It's just an experience. But if you start to get triggered and you feel like, oh my gosh, this is happening again, and you can lose yourself into that trigger, then that is something to be aware of. But you already have your tools. You have your tools. You have your resources. You have all the things that you need in order to now, okay, let me start dating again. And I know now what to do if I'm going to get triggered, if this comes up. So you've got like a plan, if you will, in place. But that plan could just look like having that solid relationship with yourself. And like I said, we can only learn so much by ourselves. Relationships as a whole are very healing and full of growth. So even friendships, even like a lot of people come into coaching for that type of relationship where they can really start to prepare themselves for dating, and they can go through all those triggers and all those things that are going to come up with someone who is a professional and who can guide them through it, who can give them those tools and resources. And another reason why a lot of people come into coaching is because they want to start dating, and they just need that person with them because they know that they are going to level up in their healing journey and their growth. And they just want someone by their side to really navigate that as well, so they don't fall back into those old patterns and that old anxious self that they have unbecome and unlearned and unconditioned from as well. And if you're in a space where you feel like there were no lessons, you did nothing wrong, it's all their fault, they are to blame. If they didn't do this or if they changed in that way, then everything would be fine. I'm just going to call you out and say maybe you're a little bit delusional, because there are always lessons and opportunities for growth. And when we can open ourselves up to that, that is what it means to be secure. We're a lifelong learner. We're always learning and growing. And there's always lessons to be learned on both sides. It's not all on you and it's not all on them as well. And the most beautiful thing you can do after you come out of a relationship during a breakup, which is an experience that I've had a couple of times, and it's just been so beautiful. And it's a sense of closure, is this conscious uncoupling. Oh my God, conscious uncoupling, meaning you sit down with each other and you really reflect on the relationship, and you notice all the things that you think that the other person needs to pay attention to, and you become that mirror for each other. And for me, it was very hard to receive, because no one likes to feel like they, sabotage the relationship in any way, or maybe we are beating ourselves up that we could have done this better or that better. But oh my gosh, it was the absolute turning point for me, for my healing, when my partner was willing to sit down with me and be like, look, these are all the different elements of our relationship that I believe led to its breakdown. And that was for me to either take it or throw it back in his face. I made the decision to take it, and it was the best decision, because I was able to heal and grow from it. If you're on your attachment healing journey, whether you're coming out of a breakup, starting to date again, or you're noticing anxiety coming up in your relationship, and you want some tools and resources to help you stay grounded, to manage the anxiety and intrusive thoughts, I would love to invite you to explore our Secure Love Sanctuary membership. This is a portal full of resources, masterclasses, and tools to help you do just that. And the best thing of all, it's got a community, so you can connect to others that are on the same journey as yourself. And we have a monthly live Q&A call where we get to connect and discuss about our journeys as well. And you get all of this for just $39 a month. So what are you waiting for? Check out the Secure Love Sanctuary in the show notes below. The link is there for you to explore and sign up and become a member. I'm so looking forward to welcoming you into the sanctuary. And then the last sign, which is, so broad but so powerful, is to just love yourself. When you can place your hand on your heart and truly, genuinely, authentically say, I really love myself. That's it. I have my own back. I prioritize me. I know that I have that inner strength to be able to walk away from anything that is no longer serving me. As I start to step into that dating pool, if I notice that there are any inclinations of manipulation, toxic traits, unhealthy traits, I know I have my own back, and I can call myself up and not abandon myself in that moment, because I work too damn hard on myself, on my growth, on my healing. I poured so much into myself. I cannot allow someone to come in and completely unravel that. And that's why it's so important to do this work for yourself, because the best way to unravel all of the work that you've done is to do it for someone else. If you're doing this for someone else and then that person doesn't meet that expectation, so like, I'm going to do this work so I can get back with my ex, and then you do get back with your ex and he hasn't done the work or she hasn't done the work, but you have, there's a big risk of all that unraveling. Or maybe it doesn't go the way you want it to go. You don't get back together. And you're like, well, what was the point of that then? And you completely unravel everything that you've done. So do this work for you. Do this work because you love yourself so much, and you know deep down that you deserve the best life and love of your dreams. My love, if I could just plant one thing into you, that is that you are so worthy. It is your God-given right to have the life and love of your dreams. It's so possible for you. And it starts with believing that. And even if that means just taking that first step and be like, I'm working on believing that. I'm working on believing that I am worthy of this. That's huge. You're taking a great big step in the next level of your growth. So loving yourself, what does that mean? It means building that incredible life for yourself, regardless of your relationship status. For me, it meant moving to Thailand. I loved myself so much that I needed to make sure that I was giving myself the biggest gift of all, which is peace, happiness. I get to do that for me. And I needed to go to Thailand for that, to be able to create that life. So loving yourself means, like I said, knowing your own needs, meeting your own needs, being able to respect your own boundaries and not break them, prioritizing your own happiness, taking responsibility for yourself, having that self-assurance within you as well, having that agency over your own decisions, that self-trust that you are going to make a decision for you and for your highest good and not for someone else. Another thing that we used to do. I want to be able to plan and mold my life around someone else. And we get into a very self-sacrificing space when we do that. And I did that many times. I decided to live in Bangkok for my partner. I didn't want to be there. It was not in my highest good, but I wanted to do it. And sometimes we do have to have that compromise, right? But it's about, are we compromising? Are we working together as a team to make this decision? Or am I going against myself? And just having that discernment as well. Being able to stay regulated, stay focused, stay rational when we are making these decisions. And being able to know that sometimes I'm going to have to make a tough call, that I really want to be with this person, but maybe we're not aligning in something that's really important, like children. I want children, he doesn't. That's a big non-negotiable, right? When do we then apply that discernment and say, now I need to walk away from this, no matter how hard it is. I need to be able to stick with what's important to me, my vision for my life, which is children, instead of, I don't need children, I just really want to be with this person. It's a bit like the Richard and Monica scene in Friends, right? Where she really wanted to be with Richard, but she knew she wanted children. And no matter how hard it was, she knew she had to walk away. That's what it means to love yourself, is to not abandon yourself. And the other point I will add to this as well is having that level of self-compassion and acceptance. Because best believe, when you start dating again, it will challenge you. You may start to feel those old beliefs tickling you again and those wounds starting to crackle back open. If that was to happen, if you were to say or do something unconsciously from that space, in what capacity can you then pull yourself back and be compassionate and be gentle and be kind and just accept, okay, I did this, I said that was not coming from my highest secure self, that was coming from an old wound. How can I be okay with that? How can I step into a space of like, right, how can I repair this now? What type of conversations do I need to have with myself, with others? How can I be gentle and kind? And really, really giving yourself that space, that self-compassion. And I'm going to end this episode with giving you a bit of a Japanese concept. And it's quite an ironic one, really, because they are such a perfectionistic society. But they do have this Japanese idea because they've noticed that no one is perfect. You are not perfect. I'm sorry to say, you never will be. And sometimes we have this illusion that we need to be 100% healed in order to allow ourselves to be open to love again. And it's not about that. We have our goals and our desires to create this completely perfect masterpiece of ourselves, but can we drop that? Can we see ourselves as human beings that are here to grow and expand and evolve and have experiences? So this Japanese idea, it's called wabi-sabi, and it teaches that there is perfectionism in imperfectionism. And some of the best connections when we connect with people when we're dating is two people coming together and helping each other through issues and celebrating that progress together and growing together. And I've had this experience where I've invited someone into my life, and at first you think, oh my gosh, this is it. This is the one. We're so aligned. Like, there's ticking all my boxes, as we say, but it's just everything. It feels so right. But it was only meant to last for a certain amount of time, because this man came into my life and became such a mirror for the things that were still very present within me. And I was coaching at this point as well. Like I said, we're always healing and growing. And he was able to really, he was like, almost like, I can only describe it as giving me a, what do you call it, with the leg up? He's giving me a leg up into my next level for that next person. He was not meant to stay in my life, but he was such a catalyst for growth. So they are the best connections, whether they are in your life for a season, you know, for a short time or a long time. So just really seeing dating as an experience and not doing it from a place of just wanting to achieve and get to a certain destination. How can you change your mindset around seeing dating as, I'm going to connect with other human beings and together we are going to form connections, or not, but I know for sure that I'm going to learn more about myself, I'm going to grow, I'm going to have experiences, and still hold my vision for finding that person. But why can't we enjoy the ride while we get there? We're so focused on that destination that we're not enjoying the ride. Enjoy the process and the progress that comes from it, and trust in it as well. Trust that everything is always happening in your higher good and for you. So do your best, but know that sometimes these things happen in our highest good without us trying to control too much. I would hate to see you close yourself off and push people away because you feel like you're not healed enough. Invite them in and explore and see what happens. Again, another reason why a lot of people come into coaching is because someone has come into their life and they're freaking out, old patterns are starting to come up, and they need to pay attention to that. And that is the reason why that is happening, because attention needs to be paid. So if that is you, you want to explore what that journey looks like for you in terms of coaching, you're always welcome to reach out to me. Always, for in ever capacity, I am here to support you and help you and guide you through anything that is happening for you right now. But in that being said, I'm closing this episode with sending you so much love. And if you have any follow-up questions or comments, I would love you to get in touch. You can send me a DM and share this with someone. Share this with someone who's asking this question if they're ready to date again. And like I said, I would love to see what comes up for you as you're listening to this episode. But until next time, my loves, I'm sending you lots of love, and I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for joining me on the Relationship Rehab podcast. I hope that this episode has supported you in healing, growing, and evolving out of insecure attachment and unhealthy relationship patterns and into safe, authentic love with yourself and others. If you enjoyed the episode, it would mean the absolute world to me if you would just take a second to rate and review this podcast. Every rating and review from you guys counts, as it really helps this podcast to grow so it can reach more people who need to hear this content. And don't forget to connect with me on social media. Take a screenshot of this podcast episode, share it on your IG stories, and tag me at the.relationship.rehab with your biggest takeaway from the episode. I really do love reading them. See you back here next week for another episode on the Relationship Rehab podcast.